Well, Sam, I think we really got something for him today.
Oh, that was so fucking generic.
Yeah. All right, well, we got some serious business to correct here and to bring to the table. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about Stephen Sommers' film Van Helsing, starring Hugh Jackman, Kate Beckinsale, and Richard Roxburgh.
Yeah, this movie catches like a lot of flack. And I've always loved this movie, so I don't know, maybe that says something about my taste, but really I just think it says something about everyone else's.
Yeah, now tell him. Yeah. Give him the business, hit him with it, Sam.
So this movie is a classic creature feature, right? But it's not just one. It doesn't just settle for like one different bad guy, right? So in this movie you have werewolves, you got vampires, you got the Frankenstein monster.
There was a cutaway scene. There would have been a Creature for the Black Lagoon, but they couldn't get the rights to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that would have been awesome.
They had zombies even.
Yeah, zombies.
Yeah.
I think that's...
Crazy hillbilly Transylvanian farmers.
We all know that they're bad people, so like, let's be real.
and Igor-looking hunchback dude.
That's true, Igor's there.
Oh, and the ghoul-looking things.
Which ghoul?
I don't want to say they're troglodytes because that's a different thing. But like his minions that are all robed up.
Oh,
like evil Jawas.
Yeah, like they're like evil Jawas. They're like picture Gru's minions, except they're way uglier and still yellow, but like more like a disgusting, like your skin's like falling off yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a diseased yellow,
like leopard minions who have leprosy.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Leprosy minions. All right, so not only are there a whole bunch of monsters, we also have Van Helsing, of course, who's played by Hugh Jackman, and it's not the normal like old man portrayal of Van Helsing. Instead, he's much younger, and I don't know. Much more like on the attack, much more vicious. But anyways, if you want to tell them about that, a little bit about the plot, go get them.
All right, so definitely not your Anthony Hopkins Van Helsing, in that Dracula story. Anyhow, but the plot of this one, so Van Helsing, right, is agent of the Vatican, and they're basically sending him across Europe, across the globe, to vanquish evil in all its many forms, which in this case seem to be like supernatural and monstrous beings. So he returns from Paris because he was fighting Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I can't believe he missed that one.
Yeah.
So he returns to Paris, he killed them, and they have a new mission for him. This time they have him going to Transylvania to help Princess Anna and Prince Velkin kill Count Dracula.
Not the Disney Anna. It's a different.
Yeah. There's no evil Elsa either to back him up. So the Vatican has him going to Transylvania to help the prince and princess, and to aid him is his lovable comic relief sidekick, the monk known as Carl. And once they get to Transylvania, they encounter not only the hillbilly farmers that we mentioned foremost, but we also the brides of Dracula himself, right, as they're feeding on the people, which ensues a very cinematic shots of action, but definitely seems like a little bit more than your average mission to vanquish evil, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I haven't been on any myself, but I definitely think it was the most perilous adventure that Van Helsing had to date. Maybe not the wives of Dracula themselves, but like what ensues throughout the film, definitely a little bit more than he was expecting. But one of the other interesting parts is that Van Helsing doesn't remember his past. The farthest back that he can remember, he like stumbled onto the door of the Vatican like naked, except he had like a ring on. And that ring was the only clue to his past. And as the movie progresses, we slowly begin to learn more and more about Van Helsing's past. He has a few flashbacks that he talks about where he was fighting under Constantine when he was trying to claim the throne to Rome back in 314, which is, I don't know, like 1,400 years before the events of this movie. Actually, probably more than that, because this movie took place in like the 1800s, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, actually, maybe probably earlier, because they were using crossbows. They didn't have guns. Yeah. So yeah. So at least 1,000 years beforehand.
So not only you got the action adventure story, but you also have like a personal journey, right? He's trying to reclaim what he's lost and find himself. As strange as that sounds, in a movie with Dracula, vampires, the Frankenstein monster, and zombies.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot more heart in there that needs to be looked at. You know what I mean? And then the bond him and Princess Anna end up, making together, like they become a pretty solid team. And I think he mentioned a ring he has. That ring ends up actually connecting to Count Dracula, as he actually remembers Van Helsing from previous. Like, this wasn't their first encounter together.
Yeah.
And that actor, Richard Roxburgh, totally for me stole the scene. I really hope he does more. It's a real shame he won't be in the sequel, and that a sequel wasn't made. But what were your thoughts?
He won't be in the non-existent sequel. Sad.
Were there any moments that like stood out to you, either from an actor or like just like from a filming perspective?
So, all right. So eventually they get to Dracula's castle, and his castle, just like the whole thing, is fantastic. It's a little over the top, but in the right kind of ways for like a monster flick. I don't want to call it a horror because it's not horror at all, but for a monster flick, it's over the top in like all the right ways. But like we were just talking about with Dracula, he does a very good job with all of his monologues. Like, yes. I don't know. I feel like, at least as far as like campy villain movies go, like your villain needs to be able to deliver a solid monologue, and he nails it like 100% of the time whenever he talks. You're like, wow, this guy's evil. Wow. He wants to have children? That's evil. He's the only guy who's made me think like, oh, having kids is probably the worst thing that this bastard could do. Like, it's not going to be good. But, he delivers, and he does a great job. As a Dracula character.
Absolutely. I think he's probably my favorite. Sorry, Bela Lugosi. But something else in the movie that, I want to talk about. We mentioned how there's werewolves. I really dug the werewolf transformation scene. Like, what are your thoughts?
Not just like the transformation scenes, but the werewolves themselves are like very well designed. Like, they look great as werewolves. And I know that's kind of weird to say, but there's like a lot of movies that don't do werewolves right. Like they just don't look.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
They just don't look right. And
case in point, Twilight. But
Twilight. Oh no, we're big dogs now. Oh, scary. This movie doesn't have that issue. Their werewolves look big and intimidating. Like, they could take on whatever you threw at them. And I've always liked that portion of the movie. I've always liked the way that the werewolves are modeled.
Absolutely, 100%. I think the other cool thing, obviously, as we've talked about, this is most of this is material that we've seen before. You guys have probably seen before in movies, being like the Mummy, zombies, vampires, etc. But Stephen Sommers, implements them in such a unique and I feel an original way. Like how Frankenstein's monster was made to power Dracula's machine
to make his children
come alive.
Yeah, you didn't think that Frankenstein could be a mom? He can be.
Like that's really creative. Or how he also uses zombies to be his minions, right? And then I think perhaps what I think is the coolest thing, and this is a spoiler, so I won't really go into detail, but
we just did a whole bunch.
Yeah, okay. Well, how vampires are defeated in this? Like, what's it take to kill them?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's not just like, oh, wooden stake or garlic or the cross, all of which are effective, and used in the story, but like,
yeah,
it really hits it home.
Like the kind of like raw power you need to like take on a Dracula figure is is kind of, I think, what you're like alluding to, because like the humans all the time, even the main character humans, just get slapped around, like it's nobody's business. And you know, these are like the best fighters in all of Transylvania.
The best of the best.
The best of the best of Transylvania, and they all just die or get defeated, like, you know, one after another. And this isn't even just like up against Dracula. This is like against his wives, who are much less powerful than he is. But yeah, humans basically never win anything, even with all of the tools that you need to kill a vampire traditionally. And like Steph was saying, like even when they are effective, it's almost like not enough. They're like not on the same level. Like, all right, you have a gun, but I can dodge bullets. It's like that kind of gap. You know, like we both can use guns, but I can fly, and you aren't good enough at aiming to hit me. You know.
I think another thing is kind of goes back to character performances, but like the comic relief. Now, don't get me wrong, Hugh Jackman is good one-liners, but like the monk Carl, played by David Winham, right? He was in 300.
He plays the guy who loses his eye. Anyways,
you know, but like he totally is good. He's like, but Van Helsing, I don't want to go to Transylvania. Like, it's just, you know, he is your key in there. It's like, okay, hey, listen, man, this is gonna be the audience. Good work with that. You know?
So I mean, basically, the dynamic is you have Van Helsing as like this super BA like monster slaying machine, and then you have Carl, who is your everyman, who's like, oh god, that thing can fly, oh god, the closet's open while I'm sleeping and it's dark. You know what I mean? Like, Carl's like afraid of like everything, and Van Helsing's like, oh no, I lost an arm, I guess I'll bludgeon something to death with it. You know, it's a pretty good dynamic, and they make it work really well.
No, wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I think another thing that done really well is the music, right? That score, you know, it's like it's something that makes you want to move, and you're like, I gotta go on a quest and an adventure now. You know, definitely play that in your car when you're like doing something mundane like Walmart, or you know, just driving around the block. Make you feel a little cooler, but like
getting soda was intense today.
Exactly that kind of thing, you know. But it's a real shame that they did not continue on with sequels to this, because it's totally a film that was worthy of it. And Hugh Jackman did such a good job. They all did such a good job.
Yeah, weren't they originally trying to get Tom Cruise to play Van Helsing?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen.
Then they saw his mummy version and were like,
none of that.
None of that.
Yeah.
But anyhow, check out Van Helsing. Do yourself a favor. It's just awesome. All right, it's just awesome.
Yeah, like you won't get like any like crazy plot turnarounds. It's nothing that's like, you know, it's nothing crazy. But what it delivers to you is it's just a good time. It's an enjoyable movie with some great looking monsters, and yeah, you just can't go wrong.
I think that wraps that one up. So hopefully reconsider it. Don't put it off to the side. That is front and center material. Mm-hmm. And we will see you next time.